Hello, today we will talk about cardiovascular system. At the end of this lecture, you should be able to identify the layers of the wall of the heart and describe the different types of blood vessels and identify and describe the layers of the wall of vessels. The cardiovascular system transports blood to and from the heart to all tissues of the body. And the cardiovascular system is comprised of the following structures. This is the heart, pumps blood through the system, and the arteries, red one, arteries. This is the vessels that deliver blood to tissues. Capillaries, these are the networks of small vessels that perfuse tissues, and the veins, vessels return blood to the heart, Morphologically, all of the heart, this is our heart. Anatomically, I hope you know that they represent 4 chambers: atrium, ventricles, and the wall of the heart, this part, consists of 3 layers. Innermost, endocardium, this myocardium, the thickest part, and epicardium. Also, outer covering layer is pericardium. Between them present pericardial cavity, this one. Remember, all of the heart consists of 3 main layers. Innermost, endocardium, thickest one, myocardium, and the outermost epicardium, which covered by the pericardium. What is in the cardium? We can see here one histological section of heart. In the cardium, this is the innermost layer. In the cardium, just name, but morphologically consists of endothelium, this one, and the subendothelial connective tissue, this part, subendothelial connective tissue, and also present here connective tissue, smooth muscle cells, also present here. Endothelium, remember again, and the subendothelial connective tissue, this part. I hope you remember that what is endothelium? Endothelium, this is a simple one type of simple squamous epithelium. That's why in section, the slide usually endothelium looks like single line, like here, single line. Subendothelial connective tissue, of course, consists of loose connective tissue with connective tissue fibers and the smooth muscle cells. And the deeper layer of connective tissue, this is a subendocardial layer, this part, we can see here Purkinje fibers. These are Purkinje fibers because you know that heart has conducting system, and the conductive system located usually the subendocardial layer. This is endocardium, this is subendocardial layer, and the thickest part is the myocardium, this part, and epicardium also visible here. Myocardium, we said that middle layer, or you can say second layer, which consists of cardiac muscle. Cardiac muscle, if you remember, also striated muscle, like skeletal muscle, but they represent special intercalated discs because cardiac muscle cells connected to each other by the special junctions by the intercalated discs. Epicardium, look students, example, this is a heart which covered by the epicardium, but you should understand that epicardium, this is a visceral layer of pericardium because outer covering layer is pericardium. Pericardium has 2 layers, parietal layer and the visceral layer. We can say visceral pericardium or epicardium because between visceral and the parietal pericardium present pericardial cavity, and the epicardium, again, just name. Morphologically, epicardium, this is consists of mesothelium and connective tissue. What is mesothelium? Like endothelium, mesothelium also simple squamous epithelium, because if you remember, we said that simple squamous epithelium in our body will be two types, like endothelium and mesothelium. The cells of mesothelium secrete special secrete or fluid, and the pericardial cavity filled by this fluid, because this fluid they prevent friction. They prevent during contraction. They prevent friction, of course. Next part of cardiovascular system, arteries. Arteries, and the arterial system consists of three types of arteries. There are elastic arteries, muscular arteries, and arterioles. The largest of them, of course, elastic arteries. Then muscular arteries, or we can say medium-sized arteries. In our body, the most abundant type of them, of course, muscular artery. And you should understand here morphological difference between elastic artery, muscular, and the arterial, between this type of artery. Elastic artery, muscular artery, and the arterial, morphological difference. Let's talk about it. Elastic arteries, we said that this is the largest artery. They conduct blood from heart to smaller arteries. That's why we can say also elastic artery, morphological elastic artery, but functionally these are conducting arteries, because they conduct blood from heart to smaller arteries. All blood vessels, arteries, veins, their wall consist of three layers: tunica, or we can say layer or tunica, tunica intima, tunica media, and the tunica externa or tunica adventitia. Tunica intima. First, let's describe elastic arteries. Tunica intima of elastic arteries. This is a lumen part of artery. This is wall. Tunica intima. Tunica intima, this part. Or we can say inner layer of the arteries, which consists of endothelium, and also please remember heart and all type of blood vessels lined by the endothelium. Also elastic arteries too. Tunica intima lined by the endothelium look visible flattened nucleus, because we said that endothelium, this is a simple squamous epithelium which consists of flattened cells with flattened nuclei. That's why this line is endothelium. Below here, below endothelium, we can see subendothelial connective tissue, this part, this pink part. And the internal elastic lamina present here, but not clearly distinguished. Tunica media of elastic artery, this part. If this part is tunica intima, this is tunica media. Of course, the thickest part of elastic artery, the thickest layer of elastic artery. This is a tunica media. Tunica media consists of fenestrated elastic membranes. These all are fenestrated elastic membranes. There are elastic tissue. This is elastic fibers, or we can say elastic tissue. They form of 14 to 70 fenestrated elastic membranes. Except these membranes, they represent smooth muscle and connective tissue. Loose connective tissue, they present between elastic membranes, this part. External elastic lamina not clearly seen here. And external elastic lamina thinner than internal, but internal and external elastic lamina in elastic arteries not clearly distinguished. This is a difference. Tunica adventitia, very thin in elastic artery, remember, very thin, only this part, contains elastic and the collagen fibers, and the vasa vasorum are present in elastic arteries, because this is a large type of artery, Example, in our body, aorta can be example for this type of artery, elastic artery. Example, this is a section of aorta, real slide, which is seen by Orsi. And we can see in this slide very thin tunica intima, only this part, and all this part is tunica media. The thickest part is tunica media because consists of elastic fibers. This is the elastic membranes. Between them we can see nucleus of smooth muscle, nucleus of fibroblasts, because fibroblasts produce all these fibers produced by the fibroblasts. Of course, there must be present fibroblasts, and a very thin tunica adventitia or connective tissue visible here. This is all about elastic artery, remember. Next type of artery, muscular artery, tunica intima. This is a chim. Later I'll show you a real slide. Tunica intima of muscular artery also consists of endothelium or simple squamous epithelium, very thin subendothelial connective tissue, this part, and internal elastic lamina, well distinguished here. In muscular artery, remember, internal elastic lamina, this one, zigzag line, like zigzag line. This is the internal elastic lamina, well distinguished in slide. Tunica media consists of smooth muscle cells. Look, all the smooth muscle cells. Few collagen fibers and elastic fibers also present between smooth muscle cells. Remember, if tunica media of elastic artery mainly consists of elastic fibers or elastic which can form elastic membranes, tunica media of muscular artery mainly consists of smooth muscle cells, but fibers also present, but few. External elastic lamina also seen here. Tunica adventitia of muscular artery, thicker. Remember, this is also difference between elastic and the muscular artery. If in elastic artery tunica adventitia thin, in muscular artery tunica adventitia thicker, and there are also present vasa vasorum. And tunica adventitia sometimes may be equal to the thickness of the tunica media, or maybe thicker than tunica media. Tunica adventitia can be thicker than tunica media. It depends from the diameter of muscular artery, because we said that in our body the most abundant type of artery is muscular artery. This is a real slide. Look, in your slide, muscular artery looks like here. Tunica intima, we said this line, endothelium, and the subendothelial connective tissue with smooth muscle cells, elastic fibers, and the sinus. Look, what is it? Of course, this is the internal elastic lamina, which clearly seen here. Look, internal elastic lamina. In elastic artery, not clearly seen, but in muscular artery, clearly seen. Tunica media, which consists of smooth muscle cells, and tunica adventitia, which consists of connective tissue. Okay, let's revise again. Difference between elastic and the muscular artery, and because you should identify muscular artery from elastic artery. Look, tunica intima much thicker than tunica intima of muscular artery. Internal elastic lamina is not distinct, but internal elastic lamina is well demarcated in muscular artery. We said about it. Tunica media consists of mainly elastic fibers in elastic artery. In muscular artery, tunica media mainly consists of smooth muscle cells, plus external elastic lamina is also very prominent in muscular artery. Tunica adventitia thin in elastic artery, but tunica adventitia thick in muscular artery. This is the main differences between elastic and the muscular artery. Arterioles. What is arterioles? Arteries with a diameter of less than 0.1 millimeter are considered to be arterioles, remember. Arteries also consist of 3 layers: tunica intima, tunica media, and tunica adventitia. Tunica intima, of course, consists of endothelium, a very thin tunica intima. Internal elastic lamina in the wall of arterial absent or very thin. It again depends on the type of arterial, depends on the diameter of the arterial. Tunica media also thin, represent 1-3 layers of the smooth muscle cells. Remember, from 1 to 3 layers of smooth muscle cells present in tunica media. External elastic, of course, absent here, and thin tunica adventitia present here, but the tunica adventitia poor developed in arterial, on the wall of arterial. Another type of blood vessels, capillaries. Capillaries, of course, smallest blood vessels. Example, this part is arterioles, this is venules, because smallest arteriole at one capillaries continues with the smallest arteriole at the one end, and as with the smallest venous at the end, this one. This is capillary network. Capillaries is a size of exchange of gases, nutrients, and the metabolic wastes. Usually exchange occur here between capillaries and the tissue, between capillaries and the tissue, remember. Structure of capillary. At the section, cross section, this is one capillary, cross section of capillary. We can see that wall of the capillaries consists of has only tunica intima, only tunica intima. There are absent tunica media, tunica adventitia absent, only tunica intima present with endothelial cells. Remember, this is the nucleus of one endothelial cell, this is cytoplasm part, another endothelial cell. Of course, they represent basement membrane, basal lamina, and pericytes also. Pericytes, or we can say contractile cells wrapped around the capillaries. These are pericytes, these cells. In this slide, we can see a longitudinal section of capillaries. This is long capillaries with very thin wall. This is the nucleus of endothelial cell, and this is the lumen part. Lumen part visible RBC. Look, in this slide, you can see that the wall of the capillaries are very thin. Only tunica intima present here. Capillaries, morphological can be 3 types: continuous capillary, fenestrated capillary, and a sinusoidal capillary. The most abundant of them, continuous capillary. Depending from the function of the organ, the fenestrated capillary can be present. Example, we can see about it later. Continuous capillaries, we said that the most abundant. On the wall of these capillaries, there are no pores or fenesters. That's why we can say continuous capillaries. Continuous, remember, this type of capillaries present muscle, nerve, and connective tissue, brain tissue. They have this type of capillaries. Fenestrated capillaries, on the wall of fenestrated capillaries, on the wall of endothelial cells present pores. Example, pancreas, intestines, and endocrine glands, they have fenestrated capillaries. They need these fenestrated capillaries because pancreas also can work as endocrine organs. That's why they need fenestrated capillaries. Endocrine pancreas, actually, endocrine pancreas need this type of capillaries. Of course, all endocrine glands, they have fenestrated capillaries. Another type of sinusoidal capillaries, or we can say discontinuous capillaries, because all of endothelial cells, they have large, many fenesters without diaphragm, bone marrow, liver, and all type of lymphoid organs, they have sinusoidal capillaries, remember. Venous system. Again, our team, heart, artery, arterioles, then capillary network, and then venous system starts. Veins are thin-walled. If we compare, example, vein with artery, of course, veins are thin-walled. They carry blood from capillaries to the heart. And also, morphologically, veins can be three types. Large-sized vein, here, medium-sized veins, and the venules. Same three-layered organization as arterial system, means tunica intima, tunica media, tunica adventitious are present on the wall of veins. Let's describe one by one. Before, let's say about difference in structure of veins from the arteries. Wall thickness to the diameter is less. Wall of the vein, example, this is artery, this one is vein. Generally, wall of the artery thicker than wall of the vein. And the tunica media, this purple one is tunica media, is thin in vein and thick in artery. Thin in vein and poorly developed in vein. Tunica media contain more collagen and less elastic tissue. Veins are usually collapsed after this. That's why in your slide we can see vein, a collapsed vein mainly. And the tunica intima, first this is a difference between tunica media of artery and the vein, and here we can see difference between the tunica adventitia and tunica intima. Adventitia thicker, example, this is where the part is adventitia, thicker in vein than in artery. And the internal and the external elastic lamina are difficult to distinguish in the wall of vein. But in muscular artery, we said that internal elastic lamina and the external elastic lamina clearly distinguish it. So also this will be difference between the artery and the vein. Again, a large vein, diameter of large vein can be more than 1 centimeter. And also three-layer, we said tunica intima, tunica intima only this part, tunica media, and the thick tunica adventitia. Tunica intima well developed, also lined by the endothelium, and the tunica media thin here, connective tissue. Less smooth muscle, elastic fibers, and the more connective tissue here, tunica media. And tunica adventitia, we said that well development, thicker than the media, and the vasa vasorum present here. Example, inferior vena cava inferior can be, for example, a large vein. Look, tunica intima, then thin tunica media, but thick tunica adventitia with vasa vasorum. Also, you should pay attention that smooth muscle cells can be present on the wall of in the tunica adventitia. Medium-sized veins, their diameter from 1 to 10 millimeter. If you say generally all layers are thinner than large vein, example femoral vein, superior mesenteric vein can be, for example, for medium-sized vein. Look, all layers are thinner than large vein. Tunica intima very thin, tunica media less muscular, and tunica adventitia only well developed but thicker than the tunica medium. The tunica medium. Venules, this is the smallest veins, and the capillaries drain into post-capillary venules. Example, this is a capillary network, and the capillaries drain into post-capillary venule, then post-capillary venules drain into large muscular venule. It means venules can be two types, post-capillary venules and the large muscular venules. Also, morphologically, there are differences are present. Example, we said that on the wall of the capillaries we can find pericytes. Sometimes on the wall of post-capillary venules we can find pericytes too, but on the wall of large muscular venules we cannot find pericytes. Also, on the wall of post-capillary venules, we said that pericytes present, but on the wall of muscular venule we can find smooth muscle cells. Wall is thin. This is a venule. This one is arterial. If you compare venule with arterial, wall is thin in venule. Large collapsed lumen. Tunica intima of course endothelium. Tunica media 1-2 layers of smooth muscles. It depends again from the type of venule. If this is muscular venule, of course, smooth muscle fibers, 1-2 layers of smooth muscle fibers present. Tunica adventitia, the thick and composed of connective tissue rich in collagen fibers. This is all about venules. And the students, as usual, at the end of lecture, you should try to give answer for this question. Histological preparation stained with arsine demonstrated from 40 to 60 fenestrate elastic membranes within the middle coat or middle layer of vessel. You should give name on this vessel. Okay. Thank you for your attention. Goodbye. See you.